What's going on, guys? Arix here, and today I've got a pretty special video for you because I want to talk about this monster sitting behind me. That is the LG C10 65-inch 4K Ultra HD Smart OLED TV with G-Sync. That's a mouthful, but I got it all. Yes, G-Sync in a TV, the first one in the world. It's kind of crazy, and I'll speak more about that in a moment. But before I go any further, I do of course want to give a massive shout out to LG for sponsoring this video. They provided me with the TV for the purpose of checking this out. They reached out to me because they wanted me to talk about it, or wanted me to check it out from a gaming perspective specifically. Obviously, you know, it's a very nice TV. It's great for movies, it's great for Netflix, it's great for TV shows. But that's not why they wanted to send it to me. They wanted me to check it out as a gamer and talk about it specifically from that point of view, which is fine because honestly, if you guys are gamers and you have monitors or you have TVs, you'll probably know that generally speaking, if you play anything remotely competitive, like versus things, shooters, fighting games, anything where you're fighting an opponent and you need to be able to react, generally speaking, you don't gravitate towards TVs. You normally go towards monitors for the obvious reason that TVs normally have latency, low refresh, or have high refresh rate, should I say. So generally, they're not a very good or very kind of appealing proposition. Obviously, if you're playing something more cinematic, story-based, you're not worried too much, fair enough. But if you are even in the slightest bit competitive, you probably play on a gaming monitor. However, LG seem to have a solution for this, and that is packed into that TV. So, where I would normally be like, 65-inch TV as my primary monitor, are you crazy? Technically speaking, that's possible. Now, it's not practical for me because this is my desk, and the chance of fitting a 65-inch monitor in my actual setup, that's insane. It's not happening. But principally, that could replace my primary gaming monitor because of the specs of this thing. So let's go top level first and talk about just kind of the basic specs for this, some of the things that you want to know about the TV, and then we'll dive a little bit more into why this is actually a potential replacement for a gaming monitor and why you might want to check this out. So first things first, it's not cheap, right? I mean, it's a whopper of a TV, and it's going to cost you just shy of £3,000. It kind of goes in the UK for around £2,799, so it is not cheap, but it is 65 inches. They do come in different sizes. You can get a 48-inch one, a 55-inch one, 65-inch, and 77-inch. Obviously, they'll be priced accordingly, but yeah, that's the price point for it. Now, on top of that, it is as I mentioned, an OLED TV, self-lit OLED. And if you're asking kind of what does that actually mean? What does that kind of mean in tangible senses? Well, put simply, OLED is a display tech that has a handful of advantages over traditional LCD. Every pixel in OLED emits its own light, which basically allows for perfect blacks and infinite contrast. Also, since it's OLED, it doesn't need all the necessary backlight you would normally find in LCD TVs, which allows it to be incredibly thin. I mean, look at this. Look how insane this is. I got it out of the box and I was worried that it was just gonna snap in half. That's how thin it was. I'm not saying it's flimsy. It wasn't flimsy. It's a very solid build. But principally, I've never seen a TV this thin. I didn't want to break it. But this is very thin. Like, this is an iPhone 10 next to the TV. This is a pen next to the TV. This is my lens cap next to the TV. I'm trying to find things that are literally sitting next to me. It's a very thin TV. Obviously, the bottom part is slightly thicker where you have all the connections, but it's got a very low profile. So obviously, were you to mount it on a wall, then it would look incredibly nice, be kind of like a picture on the wall. I've got it on the stand. The stand itself, obviously, if you do put it together, goes about 10 inches deep, so if you were to put it up against the wall, it would kind of have a little bit of a gap against it, but principally, it's a very thin TV. Size-wise, for the actual model itself, obviously again, I've got the 65-inch one. This comes in at 1,449mm by 830mm, so again, you know, pretty sizable, but given that you don't have the usual sort of frame you would have around a TV, it's actually quite nice. Now, of course, on top of that, if you look at the back of it, you've got all your usual ports you would of course expect: antenna, Ethernet, USB ports, headphone jack, all that kind of stuff, plus plenty of HDMI ports. And the HDMI ports are the most important thing here because they are HDMI 2.1, not 2.0, 2.1, which for those of you guys wondering, nearly triples the bandwidth of HDMI 2.0. That allows 4K TVs to run at 120 Hz at full resolution, plus HDMI 2.1 also has automatic detection for latency sensitive devices, so the games don't feel floaty or laggy. So if you put a console in, for example, I'm using a PS4 Pro right now, it works nicely with that as well. And obviously on top of that, on supported devices, it also allows variable refresh rate over industry standard tech as opposed to proprietary solutions. So basically, it's a very powerful package. Also, it comes with this fancy remote, which basically functions like a Wiimote because you can point around and just click on things. Anyway, you don't really care about that. Let's talk G-Sync, because by now you're probably saying, well, Arax, I hear you talk about all these specs, but why do I care about this TV? Why is it supposedly so good? Well, this is what we want to speak about, because this, or LG, are the first people in the world to bring G-Sync to an OLED TV. This is a first thing, and it is incredibly exciting. Normally you associate G-Sync again with gaming monitors. G-Sync is the name for Nvidia's variable refresh rate gaming tech that they pioneered. It's basically designed to reduce visual anomalies like tearing, stuttering and lag, and it allows games to look good and feel super responsive. And while yes, the footage you're seeing right here is of me playing on a PS4 Pro because it's the thing that I had convenient to set up and check out in 4K, were you to plug a PC into this, you can run with G-Sync, HDR, all that stuff like that. And the other reason that it's super exciting is it has a 1 millisecond refresh rate, according to LG. So, as you can now see, were you to use this for a competitive game, playing shooters, fighting games, that kind of thing, pair that with the fact that it's also OLED, which technically speaking, pixel-wise is also closer to that of like a plasma or a CRT. So, you know, for gaming monitors and whatnot, for gaming use, this is actually a very compelling package. Now, obviously, you probably wouldn't want to play a competitive shooter on a 65-inch TV unless you want to crook your neck up because you're looking around everywhere to try and look at like the map and the mini-map and stuff. It's not actually practical. I personally wouldn't play games like that on a TV that big. But again, principally, it's possible. Very high refresh rates, 1 millisecond, the ability to play games incredibly smoothly with G-Sync turned on, with HDR, and up to 120 Hz. Keep in mind that, obviously tech-wise, I don't even have anything remotely powerful enough to run 120 FPS full 4K, so for the average user, you're looking at either 1080p or 1440p at 120 Hz, or 4K at 60 Hz, again with G-Sync enabled and full HDR. So that's still incredibly impressive. Now, I mentioned before, like, you know, for me personally, when it comes to big TVs, I prefer to use them for those more cinematic games, so often sitting down playing something like God of War, Last of Us, Uncharted, Tomb Raider, even Monster Hunter to a degree. Anything that just kind of is a visual spectacle, that's personally where I feel like these TVs do shine. If I was playing something slightly more competitive, I would still gravitate towards my traditional setup, but that's not to say you couldn't use that, it's just personal preference. It is definitely very capable, and the picture quality is phenomenal. Honestly, the colors are great. There's obviously different color profiles you can switch around depending on whether you want, you know, the default one, gaming mode, all those different things like that. But the colors look amazing. It's got a really nice viewing angle as well. So obviously, even if you are off the side of it, you can still get a really nice clear picture. So overall, it's just a really impressive TV. Now, obviously, I haven't had it for a huge chunk of time, so this isn't necessarily an in-depth review per se. This is more so just kind of going over the top-level features because it will be a little while before I've had a chance to sink some time into it and actually get a feel for how it is to use over an extended period of time. But initial impressions, getting it out of the box, running some tests, just enjoying it and kind of seeing what it can do, this is a very nice TV. It also has AI sound as well. So supposedly there's a system in place that scans your room to kind of work out where you are to kind of position the sound as best as possible to give you those sort of sound nuances. Cool stuff. I don't necessarily understand the audio tech behind it, but it's one of the other things worth calling out because obviously it works quite nicely depending on the setup you have for the sound you have. But yeah, all up, for the time being, that's pretty much it. Quick rundown of the TV. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, by all means let me know in the comments down below. Again, massive shout out to LG for giving me the opportunity to check this out from a gaming perspective. I really enjoyed it. Now I just need to find somewhere to actually put it because I kind of need that desk back. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed that video. Don't forget, if you haven't already done so, you can join the Arax Gaming Discord. We've got an awesome community over there with so many different channels for you to chat loads of different topics and different games. I'm in there, the team's in there if you guys want to chat with us, find people to play with. It's just in general a great place to be. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to turn on those notifications so you don't miss any of our future uploads.